folks. Nice to see a bunch of you guys again, and nice to see a bunch of new faces as well. For those of you I haven't met, I think I managed to meet many of you up on the roof. My name is Kiren Sekar. I'm the Vice President of Marketing. Been with Meraki for about 3 years now. And what I wanted to talk about for just a few minutes before we get into Todd and Pablo's demo is some of the trends that we're seeing in wireless and how that's influenced our feature development and product development since the last wireless field day and what we've been up to over the last 8 or so months in these areas. And as Sanjit mentioned, we're really focused on building complete solutions and not necessarily trying to be everything to everyone, but when we do focus on a customer, really try to see what all of their needs are and build something that's just going to work. And I think to Ben's point, we just spent a lot of time talking about hardware. Hardware is a really critical piece of that, and it's a foundation, but it really kind of extends to the hardware, the software, the service, and the customer experience. So there are a couple of particular things that are happening now in the market that we're seeing, and I think a bunch of you are seeing as well, but that we're really excited about and that are driving our product development. First one of these is density. I remember shortly after I joined, British Telecom deployed Meraki at Le Web. This is a Web 2.0 conference they have in Paris. They deployed Meraki there for the first time, I think 3 years or so ago. And there's a couple thousand people in a big auditorium, and these were the cutting edge bloggers, et cetera. They all have their laptops, their smartphones. This is before the days of the iPad. And that was kind of a wireless torture test. And we were really excited that we were able to provide a great wireless experience, but that was a really big deal back then. And now we're seeing environments like that every day with very common customer deployments. Think of a classroom with all of their students with one device. We actually recently talked to a customer where they're doing 2-to-1. So each student gets a laptop and an iPad. Likewise, we've got deployments in meeting spaces in hotels and conference rooms and lecture halls. This is basically an everyday occurrence now. So we've been focusing on building features to basically make that experience just work out of the box. And it starts with having the right hardware in place, but we also want to make sure that our older hardware platforms perform as well as the new ones. So Stanford Computer Science Department is a great example. They deployed our first generation 11N AP. That's the MR14. It's a dual concurrent 11N AP. They deployed it in their computer science department about 2.5 years ago. And each year since, they've had between 50 and 100% year-over-year growth in the number of clients on the network. And it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. So we're saying, okay, well, they're happy with their performance. How can we stay one step ahead of that growth and make sure that as their density increases, they keep having a great experience? So since the last wireless field day, we've actually had 2 firmware updates that have had a bunch of features. Some of them are management and security features, but a lot of them were really addressing performance in these dense environments. And so we're trying to find ways in firmware and in software to handle these new cases. Great example is optimizing for low power clients. Turns out that a lot of these low power devices exhibit very different behavior, especially how they're using power save pole and 11N sleep and what have you. And that, when you have enough of these devices on the network, if you don't adjust for it, they can actually consume a lot of internal resources on the access point and cause an unfair balance of resources across all of the devices. So you might have a low power device that's not transmitting a lot of data, but that's consuming internal resources on the AP. So we basically built systems to handle that efficiently. So if you've got a ton of these devices, it's not going to slow down the network for everyone else. So that's an example of a kind of very low-level feature that we rolled out to improve performance and density as more and more clients are coming on. We found ways higher up on the stack as well. So actually a feature that we've had for quite some time is we built our own DHCP server, and it's a highly efficient, highly scalable DHCP server that's on the access point itself. So if you have a guest network and you want to provide access for a large number of guests, you don't have to worry about your DHCP resources. You can serve IP addresses right off the AP, and that can scale to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients, well beyond the capacity of 82.11n. And then kind of at the highest levels of the stack, things like application traffic shaping. We found that there are cases where you've got a couple clients on the LAN and they're sharing files between one another, things like BitTorrent or even things like Dropbox, where Dropbox is now smart enough to say, hey, two clients are on the same network. Let's not proxy traffic through Dropbox's servers. Let's send it directly across the LAN, or Apple's AirDrop. And we want to make sure that we give administrators tools so things like that can't saturate the network when you've got 50 clients who all need to be able to stream video, for example. So these are all the types of features that we're building in to try to make things just work out of the box, where you might have an everyday environment with lots and lots and lots of clients, and something we're continuing to pay a lot of attention to. Another area that we're pretty excited about, and I think some of the folks that you're visiting tomorrow are focusing on quite a bit as well, is this idea of the unified access layer. We launched our switch product actually right around the time of the last wireless field day. And it's a product that we're really excited about. It's one of the reasons that, to Sanjit's point, we've more than doubled the size of our engineering team, so we can extend to products like that while continuing to invest in wireless. And interestingly, we're finding that a lot of our customers are adopting Meraki switches as a result of their wireless projects. They're deploying new wireless and extending wireless capacity to new areas. And maybe that's causing them to finally upgrade from fast Ethernet, or they need to have better visibility and better management over their wired network, since they're serving so many wireless customers, clients off of it.
Are you seeing people going to your switches beyond the access layer into distribution or any further, or is it just at the access layer?
So right now we only sell access layer switches, okay. So they're all access layer. It's actually been pretty interesting. The switching line has been the fastest growing new product in Meraki's history. So compared to any other new product that we launched, this thing is growing faster than.
Are you finding that the switches appeared with the AP sales, or do people generally deploy the APs first and then come back for the switches afterwards?
It's a combination. We've seen a lot of people take both approaches. So it's a product we're really excited about, and I think one of the things that I'm personally very excited about is because we came to the switching market after having been doing wireless for a number of years, we really got to take a very fresh eyes approach to switching. That poster that you see back there, Back to the Future, that's a poster we did internally for our engineering team when we launched the switch product. And for those of you who can't see on the camera, it says Back to the Future. And it's a little irony of a wireless company going back and building an Ethernet switch. But what it's allowed us to do is actually let the innovations that we've seen in wireless over the last handful of years, we've been able to basically build that into the switch from the ground up. And things like some of the real-time cloud-based tools and client fingerprinting, where you can now, our Ethernet switches do the same type of fingerprinting that our access points do. So you can search in our dashboard for iMac, and you'll see the wired iMacs. And the switch can tell, is that an iMac plugged into a port? Is it a ShoreTel phone? Or is it an access point that has a bunch of iPads, Androids, et cetera, on the other end? And even doing the layer 7 traffic analysis. So understanding what's BitTorrent, what's VoIP, et cetera. And I think there's been a lot of development and a lot of really cool stuff happening kind of throughout the wireless industry over the last couple of years from a number of vendors. And the Ethernet switch market has been, especially at the edge, has been a little bit sleepier. So we're pretty excited about taking a bunch of that innovation and applying it to the Ethernet switch. Another big trend that I think we're seeing, and really lots of folks are seeing, is a move to the cloud for a much wider variety of customers and deployments. And even some of the very security conscious customers that have a lot of deep security requirements are saying, hey, we want to be able to move some of our servers or storage to Amazon Web Services. We want to move our CRM to Salesforce, or we want to move our network management to the cloud with a solution like Meraki's. So we've been focusing on building features to allow these customers who want to move to the cloud but have really strong security requirements to be able to do so. So a couple things that we've done. We were one of the first folks to build two-factor authentication into the platform, because we feel like that's just a really important thing, a really important tool to have for customers when they're deploying cloud products, whether it's Meraki or whether it's Salesforce.com. Likewise, we have actually had our entire stack audited, all the way from the Meraki devices themselves through our data centers and our internal operations. So we had auditors, verify that the proper physical security is taking place at our data centers. People can't just walk in. They're using biometric scanners, that we have an absolute minimum list of people who can access it, that we have third-party penetration testing happening constantly against our back end, that only the right people internally in our operations group can access our data centers for diagnostics, et cetera. And so now we've got this big 100-and-something page audit report, so our customers don't necessarily have to go do that themselves. We welcome them to if they would like to, but providing that resource just makes it much easier for folks who want to move to the cloud to be able to do so. And another piece is also just providing the network security tools. And Air Marshal, our WIDS WIP system, is a great example of that. And Todd's going to talk about this in some more depth in a little bit. But at a high level, what we were finding is that a lot of customers really like some of the Meraki features, like the Layer 7 traffic shaping, like the cloud-based management, like the guest management tools, et cetera. But they have some pretty strict security requirements, and they needed to be able to do active rogue containment. They needed to be able to do keyword-based SSID matching, et cetera. So basically what we did is we rebuilt our WIDS WIP system and added a bunch of very cool features, and added the ability to have dedicated scanning radios, which is something that a number of customers really wanted. And that's allowed a bunch of these customers to be able to move to the Meraki platform to get that kind of complete solution that they've been looking for. And if you compare Meraki today to Meraki a handful of years ago, I think the breadth of customers that we've been able to work with has increased quite a bit. We're now doing a lot of work with financial service companies. We're doing a lot of work with retail banks, with distributed healthcare, et cetera. So, Jennifer.
For the rogue AP LAN containment, how do you determine, or what methods do you use to determine whether or not the rogue's on your LAN?
Todd or Raj, do you want to give the...
In large part, it's about correlating wired and wireless traffic and traffic patterns across the wired and wireless path. And actually, there's more than one mechanism needed to reliably detect rogue, so there's a few concurrent algorithms. But the trick is really differentiating neighboring APs from rogue APs. Rogue APs in this case being those that are truly plugged into your network, plugged into your wireless.
So you are checking on the wired side once you see it on the wireless side before trying to de-auth it.
Yeah, absolutely. We verify that it's a true, what we call true rogue.
Okay.
Can you actually do auto containment if it's not detected on the wired side?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's been cases where businesses have been de-authed.
Could you violate someone else's
and that's
right to run their network?
With other vendors certainly.
Yeah.
No, Raj, could you make it do that?
Yeah, you can set up policies, so if someone, for example, copies your SSID, you can contain that SSID. And you can manually go in and also contain based on email alerts that you receive. So part of it is automated based on policies you can set, part of it is manual based on going in and containing rogues.
Does that work with, on the wired side, with non-Meraki switches and infrastructure as well?
Yes.
You're just pulling the out tables from them?
Yes.
Can you set it based on the RSSI? Because obviously if you had auto containment, and this is what I was getting at before, there's been cases where one business has been de-authing another business's clients from their IPs, But if you could set it based on RSSI, then you can have say neg 50 or neg 60, you can be fairly sure in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of more intelligent detection and policy management is on the roadmap for Air Marshal.
We do keyword for that reason as well.
Do what, sorry?
We do keyword-based containment.
Right.
So substring matches and so on.
So actually, one of the verticals where we're seeing the most adoption of some of these features is in retail. And I think there's some really cool new use cases happening in retail for wireless. And a lot of that has been, I think, driven by the vision of the Apple Store. So the Apple Store, of course, has wireless devices everywhere, their own devices. They have guest access. They were one of the first major retail environments to go completely mobile point of sale. They eventually moved from their point of sale devices to iPod touches and now iPads. And what we found is that outside of the Apple Store, there's this huge breadth of retailers who are looking to have that type of experience and want to get there very quickly. So one example of a customer we've been working with is Nespresso. And so they make the coffee makers with the pods, and they also serve coffee at these stores. And they've got a bunch of high-end stores throughout the US. I think they've got about 50-odd stores. And what they wanted to do was to be able to provide mobile point of sale. So not have cash registers, be able to have their associates walking around, swipe credit cards on the floor. They wanted to be able to give all of their employees iPads so that they could access inventory, access their ERP systems, etc. And they wanted to do guest access. And that's something that has actually been something that's been hard for a lot of retailers for a long time. And so what we've been focusing on is building all these tools into the platform and making it something that they can deploy very quickly and very easily. And so what they did is they deployed the Meraki wireless along with our switching and our security appliances. They're using their security appliances to auto VPN all of their sites together. They're also using the WAN acceleration built in. And they've been able to roll this experience out in, what was it, Chris, about 2 months? So very, very quickly they were able to go from concept to fully deployed and actually impacting their end customers. The IT group now looks like a bunch of heroes to their marketing group because they've been able to run all these new services. So these are the types of kind of integrated experiences that we're trying to build for and we're working with our customers for. I think Pablo is going to show a few more examples like this in the demo. I think it's just a great example of a lot of different needs coming together, ranging from security and PCI to multi-site management to great tools for end users all in one package. The last big trend that I'd like to talk about is the rise of Android. Since we last talked, Android has just been on a rise, and I think in the last 8 months, it's just it's reached this fever pitch, right? With the Nexus 7, we've got a really good quality Android tablet. Every single Meraki developer actually has a Nexus 7 because we want our developers, when they're building products, to be experiencing what the network and the complete network experience is like from these devices. The Galaxy, I think a bunch of folks in Meraki have actually moved from older iPhones and even some Blackberries to that platform. So we've been building a couple features to help administrators deal with these Android devices in a, I think, even more heterogeneous client environment. At the bottom here, you see our device-based policies. So we've found that some administrators say an untrusted device is untrusted, a trusted device is trusted, and it's, there's no gray area in between. Whereas others are saying, I trust iOS because it's a closed platform and I'm not worried about it. I love Android because it's an open platform, but as a result, perhaps I have more reservation about it. And so in a BYOD environment where people are bringing their own devices, I might want to give different permissions to a user based on whether they're using an iOS device or an Android device. So we built device-aware policy firewall, where I, logging in with the same credentials, can log in with 2 different devices, an iPad and an Android tablet, and perhaps my iPad is able to access our internal systems, and I can access the LAN and the printer and all that fun stuff, whereas the Android tablet might be internet only. So you can now do that. As you can see, it's just a quick drop down in our configuration page. And that's an example of the client fingerprinting that I think we demoed last time, actually feeding into policy management, something we've been working on.
You don't want to let those Android devices on the network.
I think if I kick them all off in this room, we'd be in trouble. Other area is Systems Manager. We had a couple questions for this when we polled the group about what you guys wanted to hear about. So since we last talked, our mobile device management platform added iOS support. As Sanjit mentioned, we also made it free. So we took a cue from VMware and Splunk, where they have parts of their platform that they make available for anyone to use. We did that with our MDM as well, and got thousands of folks using it now. And we've been working away on Android support. It's probably the most requested feature since we released VPP integration a little while ago. And it is available in beta right now, and the release is coming very, very soon. And I want to take just a moment to show it to you. So who here has not seen the Meraki dashboard before? 1, 2, 3. So handful of you. So we're going to do some more extensive general dashboard demos and show some customer networks in a few minutes. But basically what we're looking at here is the Meraki management interface for the few of you who haven't seen it. This is a web-based management application that lets us manage our entire network, multiple sites, wired, wireless, etc. We're looking here at our SF Corp building. You can see each of these green dots as a wireless AP. Placed here on a Google map. You can see us in sunny SF here. And if I click over to the clients page, we can see all of the clients on the wireless network. Every time a client accesses the network, that client is fingerprinted, and we can search for them here. So if I search for Android, you can see all the Android devices on the network. Now, I can click into the details of one of these clients. We can see its signal strength. We can see where the client is in the building, and that looks like it's right about there. That wasn't planned or anything. And this is a feature that we've had in the product for a couple years now. But now I can click into client details, and this is something that's new. We have MDM support for Android clients, so I can actually see what's going on this device itself. We enrolled that device in Systems Manager, which is what we call our MDM solution, and right from the dashboard, I can see the storage utilization, I can see its battery charge, etc. If that device is lost or stolen, I can just go ahead and click erase, and we can wipe the device. I won't do that to AJ right now.
How is that working? Just okay.
I think I might have an angry employee if I do that, so I'm not going to do that.
You can click it once.
Can you do alerts so if it's lost, you could alert if it comes back on the network?
I don't think we can do that, but let's go ahead and make a wish. Alert if a lost device shows
I like how it auto-completes your question, or tries to give you.
That's another thing we added
So
recently.
if it is lost, you can locate it on the Google map.
Yep, so you can try to find it, and if perhaps someone walked off with it and it's stolen, we can go ahead and wipe it. We can also set a bunch of configuration options to help secure these devices, especially if we're using them for corporate data. So, for example, we can require storage encryption. We can require passcodes. So we can disallow simple passcodes, set strength, etc. These are features we've had for iOS for some time. We now support Android with them. We've also been adding deeper integration between our mobile device management and the rest of our network stack. And this applies both to iOS, Android, and Android devices. We can configure Wi-Fi settings, so it automatically associates with the correct SSIDs. We can actually set VPN settings. So if you're using our MX security appliance, you can pre-configure clients to be able to use client VPN back to those devices from off-site. And we've developed this feature called Backpack, which I think is pretty cool. This is a feature that we're going to be adding to all of our platforms. We're actually starting with Android for this feature. And this feature basically makes it very easy for administrators to push content to their devices under management. So for example, we have, 5 to 10 new employees starting every week now. We want to be able to give them their employee handbook and give them information about restaurants around Meraki, etc. We want to be able to do that right to their device instead of giving them a big stack of printouts that they're probably going to lose along with their benefits information. We can just add a new file to the backpack. So let's pick a file here. If we go to Meraki.com, let's take a look at, how about our Air Marshal data sheet. So I'll just copy that URL, name it, paste it in here, and go ahead and save changes. Now, AJ, if we want to pull out your device, we're going to see that, that document pop up on the device. And this is actually a feature that we got requests for first from classroom environments where people want to be able to send documents out to students very easily without having to install new applications. And we're finding that there are a bunch of uses for it in corporate settings as well.
Where does it store the data?
So we have an app on the device. And if AJ pulls it up, we'll put him on the spot right now.
How is the feature set comparing to what the Google Apps provide with the MDM?
Oh, here you can see it. Is Brett in the room? That's a sign not to answer that question.
I think the short answer is Google Apps is very focused on Android. We're trying to be cross-platform with this. So a lot of the same features, there's overlap, but we're implementing it, as you see, for both iOS and Android.
Yeah. So
that's the main
it is much more convenient to do so. I just wanted to relay the feature set.
Yep.
Is that going to be your own app for both platforms?
Yeah, we do have an app. We use a native underlying management to start, and then things like Backpack we need an app for. So that's a container for the settings. And things like GPS position, something we need the app for that.
And if anybody wants to see it, just come grab me and I've got it. You can let it know.
For the basic app deployment, security settings, etc., that does not require an application. But for something like Backpack, that would be the Meraki app.
Is this trying to replace, so other vendors might offer some basic MDM functions and then partner with, I guess, more of a dedicated MDM company? Are you guys trying to replace MDM? Should there, or are you guys going to partner, or is there no need?
Yeah, there might be some cases where it makes sense to use one specific MDM or another, but what we're really focused on is making everything work seamlessly together. And we believe that the best way to do that is to actually develop our own solution from the ground up, kind of built into our platform. Yeah. So when we want to do things like integrate with our network access control, integrate VPN settings, et cetera, we feel like we can do that in a much more nimble way if we own the whole stack. And responding to new devices, for example, when the new Kindle Fires come out, we want to be able to turn around a solution like that. And when we partner, we find that we don't have that same agility. And so, there are a lot of areas where we do partner. RFID tags is a good example. But for this, we feel that these mobile devices are kind of becoming the extension of the network edge, and more actually coming into scope of what the IT manager, the network manager who's running the wireless network has to be thinking of. So we want to build that toolkit in an integrated way.
And this is part of a standard Meraki dashboard, or is it a sort of pro level license? Or?
It's actually the exact opposite. This is available even if you're not yet a Meraki customer. So you can go sign up for a systems manager account, and you'll get the MDM piece because it doesn't require any hardware. It's all our cloud software and then the devices themselves. So we actually make this available for anyone. And what we find is that people will start using it and they say, hey, we love the management. We're ready to look at new wireless or switches or what have you. We'll give the Meraki gear a look.
Right. How do you deal with email? Because I understand that like iOS, of course, has their own built-in email app, and it's kind of all over the place on Android. And in terms of an enterprise that needs an encrypted email store on the devices, how would you deal with that?
Yep, that's one of the areas that we're actively looking at. To your point, it is a bit fragmented, and that's why we're taking our time there, but it's something we're thinking about.
Okay.
Last feature I want to show is, I think, one of the most popular parts of the iOS management has been the Apple App Store integration, and we've done the same thing for Android. So a lot of times I hear, okay, we bought 100 devices to give to employees. Now I've got to go push these 5 apps to all of them. And yeah, you can buy a USB hub with 30 ports and this and that, but it gets pretty clunky. So we've integrated with the app marketplace, and now I can search for an app. And in fact, Meraki has a Wi-Fi Stumbler app. This is an Android app that we launched probably a year and a half ago. It's a simple Wi-Fi analysis tool. And quick search, and go ahead and hit save. And now it's going to be pushed out to AJ's device. So bunch of features. We just kind of scratched the surface. We've got a lot more demos, so I don't want to spend too much more time on this. But as I mentioned, this is in beta and under active development. It's going to be released very soon. But if any of you want to try it out, let us know. Either send me an email or come find us afterwards, and we'd be happy to set you up with a beta copy. And love to hear your feedback.
How do you deal with carrier blocked applications in the Android market, Google Play?
Sandra, do you know the answer?
I don't know, actually.
It's a great question for our...
I think Play itself blocks it, so it will. You can add it, but it won't.
Yeah, but
the actual device.
We have international, like so for our UK guys, they may be able to use that.
Yeah.
I think it would show up as missing app.
Okay.
In some cases.
So just say that.
I don't know for sure. We can find out.
Yep.